What's up, you guys? If you haven't yet, hit the bell, subscribe, and like so that you don't miss our future videos. Forbes has written an article about Tron TRX. By default, yes, I'm not talking directly about BTT, but yes, they are joined at the hip, as I always say. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and it's always nice to see the mainstreaming. Here we go. So it starts off peak irrationality. A new clone of the failed Terra USD stablecoin has surpassed 550 million in market cap. 550 million already in USDD, guys. So let's see what Forbes has to say. Irrational exuberance is usually associated with the bull markets, but here's an example showing markets can be unreasonable even during periods of gloom and doom. You know what, Forbes? Markets are unreasonable, period. Crypto markets, stock markets. I watched Tesla go all the way into the 600s. I sold it at about 1150 or 1200, I think 1150, many weeks ago, and I sat on the sidelines and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and with gas going through the roof and, well, quite frankly, electricity being more attractive, you would think that the stock wouldn't have nosedived all the way into the 600s, but I had a feeling because of everything else that's going on. I won't get into the whole thing, but you know the drill, right? Recession, interest rates, war, so on, so forth, inflation. So all these things, and the government having printed a ton of money because of the virus over the past couple of years, these are not normal times. There are a lot of different variables happening. So I waited and waited and waited. And why am I talking about this? Because Forbes saying the market's unreasonable. It's always unreasonable. All markets are unreasonable, almost 100% of the time. So you need to use your reasoning to reason yourself into the market at the right time. You'll never get it right in right at the best price. You'll never ever time it perfectly. But if you're an astute observer and you know how to, well, read the headlines, read the charts. I'm not against charts, but you need to understand where the news is taking everything and what is slanted where and why and how, and what the MO is, the method of operation is behind all these things, like I say. Then you can probably end up in a good situation by buying in at the right time and then holding. What you don't want to do is you do not want to buy in when the market's at its most unreasonable, meaning when everything is through the roof, right? Because everything trades multiples higher than their actual profits, than what the company's actually worth. So with crypto, it takes this to a whole new level, unlike the stock market. By the way, a couple people ask me how many videos, or why am I in the same clothes sometimes? It's very simple. I have different internet ventures that I'm involved in, and YouTube's just for fun. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll sit down and I'll just record 3, 4, 5 videos in a row on the same day in a half-hour stint or 40-minute stint, and then upload them in sequential days, as long as the video obviously still makes sense. Sometimes I record things that they're just, it's too late to post and it becomes irrelevant and I just don't post them. Anyway, so back to, and in case you're curious, I bought back into Tesla at $807, I believe, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I don't remember the exact time frame, but something like that. And I'm going to sit around and wait for it to I'll probably do a trade and let go at around 1,000 and then go back in, unless things change. Of course, perceptions, information, you know, I could change and do something else. But right now, that's the plan, is to sell at that price and then go back in, because I think it's going to come back down. But things could change, right? So programmable blockchain Tron's decentralized stablecoin USDD, almost a carbon copy of Terra's, recently crashed. Terra USD UST stablecoin has surpassed 550 million in market capitalization within weeks of its launch on May 5th. More importantly, the market value has doubled since the collapse of UST on May 12th, which wiped out 40 billion in investor wealth. And by comparison, Terra USD launched in November 2020, gained a market cap of 150 million in the first 4 weeks. Uncollateralized algorithmic stablecoins like UST and USDD are not collateralized by fiat or low-risk bonds like other stablecoins such as USDC, and instead they use market incentives and a volatile token to preserve the one-to-one peg. So I think, and in case I don't read the whole article, which I probably won't, you can find this on Forbes, and you can just search peak irrationality, new clone of the failed Terra USD stablecoin. So I think that in the future, what's going to happen with stablecoins is that they're going to be pegged to a number of different things that make them much more difficult to take down. And I said this in my last video or two. So if Wall Street wants to, if a bunch of hedgies want to gang up and basically go to town trying to short it with a bunch of their buddies and put mega in there, it won't be enough. It would be very, very difficult, and they'll have a lot to lose to try to knock it down to the point of where they obliterate it. And I think getting countries involved, where you might have a stable coin that's pegged on the peso, you might have another stable coin that's maybe pegged on a different currency, but third world countries that are less wealthy, that don't really have basically a situation where there's a lot of swing involved, instead where their currency basically floats around the same give or take price, and they need that crypto involvement. They need that extra zip, that extra PR, that extra juice that comes with being a crypto country. And I think that this can help stable coins in ways that I really haven't even thought of yet myself, to tell you the truth, and most other people haven't. However, I think that when you do put a stable coin and attach it to an immovable, it makes it much more difficult to take it down. And obviously something has to be done, because history will repeat. I don't think it's going to repeat with USDD. I think that Tron has too much with BitTorrent support that we're not aware of from Binance and other entities, which are just massive. And because of this, along with the validity of the projects, I don't think that they're going to be taken down. But I do think that it's not just algorithmic that's going to make stablecoins do what they need to do. I don't think it's just fiat. I think there's a black swan event that's going to occur, that's going to be bigger than Terra, that's going to cause basically a stablecoin industry to change in a way that's for the better, that makes things more secure. And I think that the interest rate, I'll call it, instead of eventually promising 30-40%, I think you'll start to see closer to 15 be the norm percent or so for a longer period of time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.